Welcome to Paphos in Cyprus. Meet Jack. He retired in 2022 after 35 years of working in the chemical industry in various countries, and together with his wife he moved to Cyprus.
This is our retirement home, so that's why we came here 14 months ago. Before that, I finished my education and early working life in England, and then we moved overseas. So we've lived in Australia, China, Singapore, and Far East has been my place.
Jack has bought an apartment in a new development in Paphos and is now waiting for the construction to be completed.
We have a view of exactly that behind you. So we have the setting sun, and we also have the morning sun in the back of the apartment. So I'm really super excited about moving in. We're currently going through the selection process of furniture. This is not easy, especially if you got two people choosing.
My colleague Anastasia from Cyprus Sotheby's International Realty will show us the Elysia Park gated community where Jack and his wife rent an apartment while waiting for their new home.
Here we can understand why people come to Cyprus. Walking distance to the sea, all the facilities, safety for you and the family. Now we can see Austrians, Germans, British, post-Soviet, Middle East, from everywhere. Everyone who is looking for a quieter place with a very high quality of life, consider Cyprus now.
I met Jack at the Muse restaurant with its terrace overlooking the whole Paphos and the sea. It is a perfect place to find out how and why he and his wife decided to move to Cyprus and chose Paphos.
I was introduced to Cyprus 20 years ago, and 17 years ago we came back on a holiday, looked around Limassol for some properties like you do when you go on holiday. And funny enough, Limassol didn't appeal to us at that time. And we came to Paphos, and the love of Cyprus grew from there, you know. The land of Aphrodite and Mediterranean food. When I think about it, in those days when we took a decision, well, we had considered other places like Portugal and Bulgaria and Dubai. But Cyprus per se became the natural choice, strategically located between the east and the west. We were comfortable with the English language here. We were also comfortable with the fact that there is the rule of law, security-wise. Even then, when we started to talk about the medical facilities here, overall it all sounded good, and I'm glad to say we're now beneficiaries of all of those salient points.
Usually, foreigners prefer Limassol because it's bigger, it has much more to offer, but you chose Paphos over Limassol, Larnaca and other locations. Why?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. We did intend to buy in Limassol, and having looked at about 15 to 20 properties in Limassol, there was not the magic there. It was obviously going to be a holiday home, and it transpired that the salesperson we were with, he said, "Look, have you heard of Paphos?" And funny enough, I had heard of Paphos. We came here and looked at two properties, and we bought the second one. So it was just like you felt relaxed here, holiday mood, holiday ambiance, seaside, lots of blue sky, and it was 17 years ago. It was relatively less built. It has got a bit busier since then, but there was a kind of a natural affinity to this location. When we go back now to Limassol, we still like Limassol, but I'm always glad to be back in Paphos. For us, this is home. And funny enough, when we talk with local people, local Greeks, a lot of them come to Paphos from Nicosia and from Larnaca and from Limassol for long weekends.
What about the quality of housing, comparing to the countries you mentioned, compared to the East, Singapore, even to the UK properties? How do you find it?
I think we have a full range here. So this again comes down to budget as well. You spend a bit more money, you get the better quality. So there are luxury homes here. Design-wise, if it's just the standard apartment, yeah, then you know it's going to be square and everything. But The opportunities to build a nice home here are immense. There's no doubt about it. Well, I'm not planning on buying another property. We just bought one. But if we did buy a property here, it would be a villa of our design, and it would be completely bespoke. So the quality of construction is not an issue here at all. You get very good quality of construction. You get architects who have a lot of vision, a lot of good ideas. And I have no issues whatsoever. Compared to Dubai, the budget we were talking of, I think Cyprus offered us a lot more bang for our buck. Frankly speaking, when I looked at Dubai, it was more and more of concrete structures everywhere, and very much similar to the next block down the road. Whereas here I find that there is a full variety. You can choose facing east, west. You can have the sea on one side, you can have the hills on the other side. I have no issues about the choice we made whatsoever.
You have already purchased an apartment. But nowadays people talking a lot about, the prices, it's so expensive in Cyprus. How do you find the real estate market? It's super hot, it's overpriced, or it's still kind of affordable comparing European?
Presently we are seeing a resurgence of interest by a lot of overseas buyers. I'm not entirely sure if it is for their primary residence. I rather suspect it is a secondary home. Prices are on the increase. Interestingly, there is a new university being built in Paphos now, the Beirut American University, and this is going to draw a lot of attention. So property prices are going up, as indeed are rentals. I think people in Paphos don't complain about the return they get on their property. It is quite lucrative. People invariably tell us that the location of Paphos is really attracting a lot of overseas buyers. We have Israelis, Chinese, British people, which is the run-of-the-mill here traditionally. A lot of Russians too, of course. Perhaps a bit more diversified, I would say, than in Limassol. I think Limassol is a little bit more attractive because of the critical mass we have of maybe Russians, but Paphos doesn't have the same critical mass of any particular country.
The maintenance costs, are they high here in Cyprus or not?
We are actually currently living in Elysia Park. We've rented a long-term service apartment, and Elysia Park has something like 400 units. There are houses and apartments, and if it's a large complex, there is a lot more maintenance involved. You'd have thought that would be divided by a lot more people, but the experience shows that these larger complexes can be a little bit more expensive. Smaller complexes, you have more control, and you can manage costs better. So this depends. If you have a gym, a swimming pool, some nice gardens, you will pay a little bit more. But if it's a standard apartment in the middle of a big block, the charges are going to be less. Nothing extraordinarily worrying, I would say.
Now let's visit the gated community of Elysia Park, where Jack is temporarily living while his new apartment is being built. Elysia Park is set in the heart of Paphos with effortless access to the main points of interest. Within a 15-minute walk, you can find sandy beaches, archaeological sites, restaurants, bars, and even the King's Avenue shopping mall.
First, it started as all the project with a vision to build a residential development with all the hotel facilities. The construction started in 2008-2009. The full completion, I would say, was about 2019-2020. It's completely gated, so you have your own unique community where you can let kids go and ride their bicycle. There is a kids' playground so they can play. So it fits everything. Walking distance to the sea, or the facilities, safety for you and the family.
How many blocks are in total?
We have here apartments and townhouses, so in total there are 21 blocks.
Let's have a look at a typical apartment in Elysia Park.
Come on in and let's have a look. So here we are at the 2-bedroom apartment. I would say that this is the construction and the project of the previous generation. But it's still very popular type of accommodation because this apartment is perfect as holiday house, as investment property for rental, and also you can comfortably live because of the infrastructure of the project. So as you can see, here we have the combined dining area with living area, and always in Cyprus you need to have spacious covered veranda. Because of the weather, you spend so much time outside, so veranda becomes the extension of your living space. And here in this type of apartment, it's really spacious. Here we can understand why people come to Cyprus. You have your open space, you have your amazing swimming pool where you can swim with your children, with your family. You understand that there is an investment potential as well, because who wouldn't want to stay in it? Overall, this type of apartment, like this particular one, is 86 square meters. And as you can see, it fits your living dining space. If we go further, we have quite small kitchen, but I will tell you what is happening with lots of people. In many cases, they would open this wall and it will be open plan. But even here, you have everything. You have your fridge, you have your cooker, you have your sink, and again, you just go, open the door, and you are in the comfortable space of the covered veranda. Let's go and check our bedrooms. These particular projects have been finished several years ago, and since then the type of finishes changed. So here you will see slightly older specifications. When you have tiled floor, in most cases you have split unit, always you would have fit-in wardrobes, and you see double bed fits comfortably. This is a 2-bedroom property. All the bedrooms in Cyprus would always fit either 2 single beds or 1 double bed, and would always have a built-in wardrobe. And here we have 1 shared bathroom and toilet. Again, now as the time goes by, more and more properties, they have 2-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. But if you're looking at the older or slightly lower budgets, that would be the example, and this would be quite typical when you have your toilet, your sink, and even a small bath. This is a great example of a typical 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment of the previous generation of construction. And just to give you an idea, at the moment, this particular apartment actually is for sale. It is 86 square meters and the asking price is 290,000. Here you have everything you want. You have 4 swimming pools, you have 2 kids pools, you have kids playground, you have gym, you have spa, you have shops. Everything you can imagine is here.
Let's return to our conversation with Jack and talk about his living experience in Cyprus.
You spent already your first 14 months and probably your first full summer here in Cyprus. How comfortable it is in summer?
The hottest months were July and August. It's quite humid. Your electricity bill will go up because of the air conditioning. But the holidaymakers are here. The atmosphere is fantastic. So you spend more time indoors in air-conditioned restaurants and in homes. We're coming to the middle of October now. The temperature today is 25, maybe 26. There's a t-shirt. And I guess it'll be like this till early November. And then there will be some cooler times, but rarely does the temperature during the daytime drop below 15 or 16. So one of the beauties here is you can go and have a swim in the sea even in winter months, if it's not too rough, of course, you know. The pattern of climate is changing everywhere in the world, we know that. Things are getting hotter, but so far I don't think Cyprus has actually experienced anything which is unbearable. We haven't hit the 40s, which some countries have seen. The highest I think we had this summer was about 35. It's always a concern. Yeah, I think whoever is in the Middle East, but look at Mexico, look at other countries. We've had a lot of bad weather in Australia as well. This is something which we have to come and live with. We have to watch what's happening on this particular topic as time goes on.
Living on island in Cyprus, is it easy to travel in and out nowadays from Cyprus? What about the kind of commuting?
We have a big airport in Larnaca. It's an international airport, but one of the pluses for Paphos is that we have an international airport here, Paphos International Airport. And it is very well linked to most parts of Europe, to Britain where we occasionally go back to visit family. So there is no such issue that you can't travel by air. However, shipping is also on the rise. I understand there are more and more ferries now running between here and Greece and various other places, but we haven't experienced that yet. I think this is a very important consideration for people. So if you come from England or Germany or France, Italy, Scandinavia, we have a lot of Norwegians who live in Paphos. We have Norwegian friends. And theirs is a slightly longer trip back home. Maybe they have to go to Hamburg first and then fly to Stavanger or wherever. Rarely do you see people talking about difficulties in getting to Cyprus.
And cost of living, is it competitive to other places?
I thought you might just want to know that, and that's a very important question. So if I talk as a retired person, I would say the age-old saying comes true now: you choose your suit according to the cloth. In comparative terms, which is what I think you're heading for, in France, Italy, Germany, I feel that Cyprus is probably on par if you want a good quality of life. So the biggest expense is always going to be your traveling. The second biggest expense is going to be dining and entertainment, followed very closely by food and household stuff. And the rest of the things are the same wherever you are in Europe. It's definitely affordable. If I was working, it would be a little bit more comfortable. But as a retired person, I have no qualms whatsoever about sustainability going forward in Cyprus. And I speak not about Larnaca or Nicosia, as I say, limited experience there. Having purchased a property here, our day-to-day expenses, our month-to-month expenses are perfectly manageable. There is no concern whatsoever.
Do you have your favorite locations in Paphos?
There are some really, really nice places here. There's a whole range of restaurants by the harbour. My favorite place is actually the coastal walk, which you can use in the morning, daytime, evenings. It is safe, it is newly constructed, and you can walk from the church at the very end of the hotel lane all the way up towards Coral Bay, which is, I guess, around 7, maybe 10 kilometers along the coast. So the sea on your one side, and a variety of hotels, and the kings of the tombs, or rather the tombs of the kings on your other side. You feel really at peace and at ease with the blue sky and the environment. You see butterflies, lizards, no snakes.
No snakes.
And the occasional cat.
There are so many cats here.
Yeah.
Community-wise, is it easy to integrate, to adapt to life in Cyprus, to meet local people?
I think one big thing about Cyprus compared to some of the other countries is the English language. This is it's normal for people to speak English, except if you go out in the hills, you go to the Troodos in the villages and so on, you might struggle. So the language barrier is not so big, and therefore immediately there is an ability to communicate with people. I would say of almost all the countries that I visited, of which there are many, I find that the foreigner friendliness is the best in Cyprus. This is quite a remarkable revelation for me. Here we feel welcome. We feel they don't mind you being here, they want you here. And currently, there is a lot of concerns about many countries looking down on certain people. They say we want less of that type of person, but you don't get that feeling here. And if you learn the language, I think then it's easier to take the next step into assimilation with the local people. So the food, is another forum for getting to know people and getting to know cultures. Since we've been here permanently, we've been invited to a few functions, family functions of people. There is one very interesting tradition here, which is called Green Monday. On this particular Monday, which falls in, I think, February or March, there is no meat dish, no lactose, no milk dish on the table. It is only green, and this is the beginning of their Lent, effectively. And you find family and very close friends come to that. So we were fortunate enough to meet people who invited us to their family function. So there was grandmothers, grandparents, grandchildren, and you get together and be people, human beings.
In Paphos, I stopped by the office of Sotheby's International Realty, the estate agency that helped Jack settle in Cyprus. My colleagues explained who was moving to Cyprus and why they bought property here.
What are the main advantages of Cyprus comparing to well-developed countries in Europe or Middle East?
It's quite interesting because there is a very specific type, or we can even say profile of people who like Cyprus. First, of course, they need to like good weather. You need to like the sun, you need to like the sea, fresh air, and you don't want to be right in the middle of civilization. Because even though Cyprus is growing, but it's still much smaller and quieter place than many. But also don't forget the level of education, level of medicine, cost of life, taxation, that are the main attractions of Cyprus.
Historically, the Brits were the main buyers and investors here in Cyprus. What changed after Brexit?
I would go even before Brexit, because of course, historically, British people were buying in Cyprus a lot. However, Cyprus has always been very active to promote itself. And that's why we saw Scandinavian people, we saw Germans. Now we can see Austrians, Germans, British, post-Soviet, Middle East, from everywhere. Everyone who is looking for a quieter place with a very high quality of life, consider Cyprus now.
People moving from the UK to Cyprus today, because they're not part of European Union anymore after Brexit, or people from Middle East, they do require a residence permit. What is the process of getting a residence permit here in Cyprus for international investors?
You were absolutely right. The first thing, we need to understand the country of residence of the buyer. So if it's European Union, then it's easy. You can buy absolutely everything and you can live as much as you want to. If you are not part of European Union, and Britain now is not part of the European Union, you need to get a residency permit. And Cyprus has an amazing program, still working, permanent residency fast track with investment. If you invest certain amount of money, which is again still affordable, 300,000 plus VAT, then in 2 to 4 months you can get permanent residency. They can still apply for temporary residency and permanent residency, a different long term.
And if I do not want to buy a property here yet, I consider to rent it first and then to buy. Can I still get a residence permit in Cyprus?
Yes, but in this case, it will be temporary permit. You will need, or the investor will need to prove that he has income to support himself and his family here in Cyprus, and then he gets temporary residency, which will be renewed.
If I choose an affordable option, buying an apartment, let's say in Paphos, for 400,000 euros, what is the annual tax and maintenance cost?
It's still quite affordable, I would say. The first important thing, in Cyprus, we do not have property tax as such. We have municipal tax. It will be, let's say, 200 per year. If you buy a property as part of the development with a swimming pool, gym facilities, count between 50 and 100 per month. And of course, you have your personal bills for water and electricity.
Why do you prefer to live in Paphos, and why would you recommend me to move and choose Paphos?
Me personally, I love Cyprus in general. But it just happened that in the beginning, when I moved to Cyprus 22 years ago, I chose Paphos because I love greenery. I love to be a little bit more quiet and enjoy my morning walks, not in the cityscape. So for me, Paphos was a good option. However, what is amazing, every area in Cyprus has its own character. So every place is good if you know yourself and you will choose what suits you perfectly.
So, do you want to move and live in Cyprus? Please write in the comments. And if you need help to find the best property in Cyprus, feel free to message me on WhatsApp or Telegram. All my contacts are below. And like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you won't miss anything exciting in the future. That's it for today, and I look forward to welcoming you to Cyprus.